Are you ready for a vacation? Do you want to get away? Well, you won't be getting away to these places. Here are 12 of the most secret places around the world no one is allowed to visit, from military zones to post-apocalyptic nightmares. Number 12. The Coca-Cola Vault. Have you ever wondered about that tasty Coca-Cola beverage? Where does it actually come from? The recipe is locked up in a high-tech vault in Atlanta at the World of Coca-Cola attraction, and it's one of the most closely guarded places in the world. You can head up to the door, but no one's getting in. Only 2 people know the full recipe at any given time. Their identities are secret and they're not allowed to travel together. There is only one written copy of the formula in the world, and the vault holding it is as secure as any bank. Some secret places have been standing for much longer. Number 11. Bangar Fort. In the 1500s, the ruler of the province of Amber Kashwaha, India, built a majestic fortress for his son. It became a thriving kingdom, until famine ruined the local economy and the villagers fled. But while the buildings are still standing today, although in disrepair, many locals believe it to be the victim of a powerful curse. While tourism is still allowed in many of the buildings, it's officially classified as the only legally haunted location in India, and entering in it without a government permit is strictly prohibited after dark. This may be as much because of the roving tigers as any restless spirits, though. You've heard of private forts, but how about a private island? Number 10. Niihau. Hawaii has been an independent nation and later part of the United States, but not all of its main islands are what you'd expect. The island of Niihau is the 7th largest inhabited island in the chain and is almost 70 square miles. It serves as a habitat for several local birds and native plants, but its population is under 200 people. In fact, almost everyone living on the island are members of a single family, and it's nearly impossible to visit unless you're invited or a member of the US government or military. That's because Niihau is privately owned. In 1864, Scottish landowner Elizabeth Sinclair paid $10,000 for the sparsely populated island and purchased it from the Kingdom of Hawaii, and she and her family have rejected any attempt to purchase it. While very limited tourism activities are allowed by the family, they are expensive and rare. But the most famous visitor was an unexpected one, a Japanese Navy fighter pilot who crashed on the island and was helped by the residents, who didn't know he had just participated in the attack on Pearl Harbor. It's not the only case where it's not where the place is, it's who owns it. Number 9. Mount Athos. On an isolated peninsula in northeastern Greece, there's a stunning mountain, and on that mountain is one of the most isolated groups of people in Europe. Living in Mount Athos, a group of Eastern Orthodox monks runs a monastery dating back over 1,000 years. They live a life of isolation and piety, and they have strict rules for who is allowed to come onto their mountain. Chief among those rules? No women. This is a strictly all-male monastery, and the ban even extends to no female livestock being allowed on the grounds. And these rules continue even today because Mount Athos is essentially independent. While it's officially part of Greece and the European Union, it's also granted a special jurisdiction that makes it an autonomous region. They have their own borders and have no problem keeping people out. They only allow a limited number of men from the outside world, but those who enter will find something stunning. A huge collection of artifacts, books, artwork, and documents dating back centuries. It's been named a World Heritage Site, and the monks don't have any intention of changing their secretive ways. And no one does secrecy better than the military. Number 8. Diego Garcia. Located deep in the Indian Ocean is an isolated island, but it doesn't belong to any of the nearby nations. It's technically a part of the United Kingdom, but they don't use it anymore. They sold the rights to use it to the United States in 1966 in exchange for debt forgiveness, and the island became a US military base. And the US government wasted no time locking it down tighter than that Coca-Cola recipe. The local inhabitants, mostly coconut farmers, were quickly expelled from the island, and it became a top-secret military location. What's it used for? Over 50 years later, we still don't know. Diego Garcia is a large naval base with a constant military presence and is a base for bombers in Asia. But many islands fill those purposes, and none are quite so secret as Diego Garcia. It's completely off limits to outsiders not invited by the military, and those who do get that elusive invite are placed under a confidentiality agreement. It's been speculated to be a secret military prison for high-value detainees, or a testing ground for a new military technology. But whatever its purpose, the government isn't talking, and you are not finding out. Wake up, guys, this new island just dropped, but they're not taking visitors just yet. Number 7. Surtsey. It's not often the landmass of Earth changes so dramatically, but in 1963 a volcanic eruption off the southern coast of Iceland created a chain reaction. It lasted until 1967, and when the smoke cleared, a new island had been formed. Around a square mile in size at first, the island of Surtsey was one of the newest landmasses on planet Earth and was named after a Norse fire giant of legend. Scientists quickly swarmed the island and watched as it was colonized by various plants and animals. But one species wasn't invited to the new island party. Want to get on Surtsey? It's not going to be easy. The government strictly controls access and only approved scientists are allowed. This is for a number of reasons. First, they don't want anyone disrupting the new ecosystem there. Second, the land is unstable, with wave erosion shrinking its surface area by half. It's less than 200 feet above sea level now and getting lower. Only one hut used by researchers is on the island, but they'd better study fast. Surtsey is looking like a limited time engagement and may be below sea level in 100 years. This next site is probably the most famous secret site in the world, and you're still not getting in. Number 6. Fort Knox. You've all heard the expression, "It's locked up tighter than Fort Knox." Well, the original location lives up to the name. Located in northern Kentucky, it's a U.S. Army post that serves as the United States Bullion Depository. That means gold. Lots and lots of gold. Roughly 4,500 tons of the stuff. It's more than half the entire government store of gold, and it was transferred there to keep it safer from military attack. It also holds countless other priceless U.S. artifacts and was used as a secure vault during World War II. That valuable cargo demands top-level security. How top-level exactly? The only people allowed in Fort Knox are military members, and you don't get assigned there straight out of boot camp. The building is fenced and surrounded by razor wire and minefields, and the surrounding cameras are high-tech enough to pick up any movement or sound. As for the vault actually containing the gold, the door is almost 2 feet thick and requires multiple separate combinations to be entered. It's also set on a 100-hour time lock, and you can bet no one unapproved is ever seeing the inside of the vault. Let's head over to one of the most dangerous places in the world for this next one. Number 5. Room 39. Deep in North Korea, asking too many questions about the government is not a good idea. If the government wants you to know, they'll likely tell you, and if they don't want you to know, the odds are you'll only ask once. That's the case for Room 39, which may not actually be a room at all. It's a secretive organization run by the ruling party, based in the headquarters of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea. It's one of the most highly classified parts of the government, along with its legal and intelligence organizations. But why is Room 39 more secretive than any of them? For one simple reason. This is where the Kim regime gets all their legal funds. It's essentially a government-sponsored slush fund that funnels its profits to the regime, helping them subvert global sanctions. It's estimated to generate up to $1 billion a year through activities like insurance fraud, smuggling, trafficking, and counterfeiting, but no actual records are available. Because it's an illegal arm of a powerful dictatorial regime, the odds are that anyone who gets to see it up front is either part of the scam or won't be leaving the room. These forbidden spaces can be as small as a room or as large as a country. Number 4. RAAF Woomera Range Complex. Let's head down under, where there's plenty you wouldn't want to encounter. Those entering the outback are taking their lives into their hands with the dangerous wildlife and harsh climate. But in South Australia, there's a massive range that's off-limits to anyone outside of the military. The Woomera Range Complex is locked down for weapons testing and aerospace experimentation. And not only are you not walking in, you're not even flying over it. The Royal Australian Air Force has locked the entire region down. But what shocks most people is just how large this area is. The Woomera Range Complex has a land area of around 47,000 square miles. That's about the size of the state of Pennsylvania, or the countries of North Korea or Portugal. In fact, less than 100 of the world's countries are larger, making this one of the largest lockdown regions in the world. You could see it via highway that runs through, but there wouldn't be all too much to see. And don't even think of going off the designated road. Not only is it mostly desert, but you never know where the next munitions blast is coming from. Even the wildlife probably wants out. Sometimes a forbidden zone can be the perfect way to prevent conflict. Number 3. United Nations Buffer Zone, Cyprus. In 1974, a war between Greece and Turkey ended. The island country is closely aligned with Greece, but part of it is claimed by Turkey due to the island's large minority of Turkish origin. When a ceasefire was finally instituted, the United Nations would play a key role in keeping the peace. Part of the agreement was an establishment of a demilitarized zone dividing the island into two sides, with a massive barrier separating the two regions and making any hostilities much harder to pull off. So, what's life like in a demilitarized zone? You could ask the citizens of Nicosia, whose city is split in two by the demilitarized zone. Those on either side can move freely, but moving between the two is much harder. A 112-mile buffer zone is off-limits to anyone who isn't UN personnel or otherwise approved, and even the residents who lived there before were strongly encouraged to leave. However, the UN didn't forcibly evacuate anyone, and the region is sparsely populated. But if they have friends on the outside, the odds are they won't be popping in for visits anytime soon. What's more secure than a place to survive the end of the world? Number 2. Mount Weather. In day-to-day affairs, Mount Weather Emergency Operations Center is the base of FEMA and works as a control center for the radio system that can connect everyone to the emergency alert system if needed. It's a critical government facility, but why is it so secure? It was built during the Cold War and was fully equipped for the worst of all possible scenarios, a nuclear attack on the United States. So while it operates normally, it's got security measures for just about any nightmare scenario, and that's because it's expecting some special guests. If a disaster or attack happens, Mount Weather is prepared to host the evacuated politicians from the highest levels of government, including the president. It also has storage facilities for irreplaceable American treasures like the art held in the National Gallery. Everyone would want to get in if the end of the world happened, and that's why no one's getting in. Only the cleared professionals and elite politicians who have a spot in the bunker have access, and that's not changing anytime soon, no matter what the global climate is. And speaking of disasters, nothing makes a place a no-go zone like a natural disaster. Number 1. Plymouth, Montserrat. In the Caribbean, the small British overseas territory of Montserrat has a population of 4,600 people. What it doesn't have is a capital city. That's because in 1995, the capital of Plymouth was directly in the path of a massive volcanic eruption. They probably should have seen it coming. The city was built on lava deposits. But by 1997, it was completely uninhabitable and became the only ghost town in the world to serve as a capital city. A new city is under construction, and let's hope they remember location, location, location. Want to see some more of these forbidden locations? Why not watch 13 places no one is ever allowed to visit? Or check this other video out.